Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be building the first prototype of the FPV drone finder. So I've been working on the code lately and I've got it to work pretty stable in the house. I have not field tested it yet. Automatic RSSI calibration is not coded yet. It'll be done after the field testing. So I will set up possibly a GitHub page where I just keep updating. And if anyone wants to even add the codes or push or fork or whatever you want to do to the code, you can do that as well. I'll be more than happy to use yours and try yours as well. Now let's just go over the components that we are going to need. First, we're going to need the receiver, which is the RX5803. This is a very good receiver. You can change channels through here, and the LED indication here will tell you what band and channel you're on. For example, we're on B3. There's a red LED here, and there's a blue LED here. So we're on B3, so the red LED would blink twice. So like A, B, and it'll start blinking the blue. 1, 2, 3, and it'll go back to. So you easily know what channel and what band you're on. So this is a 48 channel receiver, so it's going to be very good. Another thing, we're going to need a PCB, or prototype board, whatever you want to call it. Now, this side, you have to take note of this. This is very important right now. One side is copper plated, or copper holes, or whatever you want to call them, and the other side does not. This is very important because we cannot use two sides that are plated here, because the holes, the pin mounts or pads or whatever you want to call them, when you align them here, they could short out easily. So when we're going to actually use double-sided tape or hot glue to hold this guy in place here, and then from there we can just take our wires to wherever we want. So this is something very important. Take note of this. For the microcontroller unit, whatever you want to call it, we're going to be using the Arduino Nano here. I chose Arduino Nano because it's small, cheap, and it's easily programmable, just USB. So just like for example, the Mini would need a FTDI breakout adapter. So this will be very easy because we're going to be updating the code very frequently. And we're going to need a voltage regulator. These are also very cheap, very tiny, and they're very good. We're going to set this guy to 5 volt. I'll show you guys how to do all this stuff. And we should be able to power them off 2S, 3S, 4S, any kind of LiPo. Not above, I believe, 6S or 5S, so you should be good on that part. A buzzer. You can add the buzzer, or you don't have to add the buzzer. It will be coded, so if you put the buzzer, it'll work. If you don't put the buzzer, the whole system will still work just fine. It won't affect anything. So we're going to need a buzzer. I'll leave a link to everything down below. Now for OLED, I do highly recommend you use my link down below, because there's many different kinds of OLEDs and they all look alike, but they all run different protocols. So I really do recommend you use the one that I am posting the link for down below, because I've currently programmed it to work on this OLED, because this is the one I have here. Now, for the enclosure, I found these nice little black project boxes from Banggood for like $2. So I'll leave a link down to these below. They're pretty cool, pretty simple, pretty sweet. They can open and close, no need to do anything to them. And we're just gonna have to just cut holes in them and just set everything up. It'll be pretty sweet. And they're very easy to cut holes through. I just cut holes with this guy. Basically, to make a hole, I just keep spinning it, and it took 2 seconds really, and I just made a hole. Another thing we're going to need, which is very important, is a pigtail with some kind of RPSMA or SMA female port here to enable you to insert your directional receiver antenna here. So this is also very important. I'll leave a link to some of these down below, or if you have some, I'm pretty sure most of you probably have some. Now, for me, for actually just basically mounting my screen here, and this is currently mounted, what I did is I just basically cut a hole up here so the pins can go through, and this screen already has 4 holes, and I found M2 screws to fit in there just perfect. So what I did is I just cut 2 little holes, I stuck the M2 screws in there, and I just used standoffs, the M2 nylon standoffs, just to hold it in place, and it's perfect. We don't need durability, and this is fine. It's going to be very accessible if you ever needed to just to pull the top off to see or update the code or remove something. We could totally do that just fine. And last but not least, we're going to need some wires. And I believe that should be it. And maybe an Xt60 connector, yeah, possibly an Xt60 connector also, so you connect your batteries through there. So yeah, so let me clean everything up and let's get started. Alright guys, so the first step is I'm just trying to quickly figure out what is the best, just the layout for this. And I found this to be pretty nice and simple and clean. So I think this is how we're going to set it up. And what we're going to do is going to give power to this guy here, and he's going to give power to everything else. However, what's pretty sweet about the Arduino is basically we give him power and use his pins to give power to everything else here, so it should be pretty sweet. However, I'm thinking not to add the buzzer just yet, but we're just going to solder it in place, and then we'll see what we're going to do from there. So what I'm going to do first right now is actually usually when you buy an Arduino, it comes with the, you know, the pins here for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy, add his pins, and then we're going to solder them in here. However, we're going to leave a little bit of room, about that much, because we're going to need to access A0 for the RSSI, and we're going to need some ground here, and we're going to need the 5 volt here, because we're going to power him in through V in right there. So V in will go into this guy, and ground will go into the guy next to him. And yeah, it should be pretty simple. Don't worry, don't it's not scary. So yeah, let's see, what else do we have here. So these are the pins, and we're gonna solder them up top, or should we do it on the bottom? Anyways, we're gonna figure it out right now. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna take this guy right now, and we're gonna bring the pin headers, and we're just gonna solder them on real quick. Alright guys, so what I have done here is I've actually put the pins through the board. Make sure they're super straight here, as you can see, so they don't bend, and then just put the Arduino through. And this way we can we're just going to make sure that our pins are going to fit in just perfect, so we don't have any problems and have to desolder anything, and basically if you don't know what you're doing, almost just about ruin your Arduino. So we're just going to get started. Alright, so as you can see, we just soldered in the pins to the Arduino. Make sure you don't have it misaligned, so double check your aligning before you solder these in, because the pin would possibly go through here and then leave you with V in not soldered in, so it's kind of would be pretty much of a headache, really. So right now we're just going to double check the clearance. So I'm going to install this here, just like so. I'm going to grab one of the open project boxes here. Just double check nothing is going to... Okay, that's perfect. So yeah, that should be pretty good right here. Okay, let's double check everything. Here's the receiver. Okay, all right, and then we have this guy. So okay, so this guy, we're gonna need another couple pins here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break off 4 small pins to actually solder him inside. So, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a bit of space down here, up here, so we can actually, you know, connect wires through there. So that'll be very good for us there. Alright, so you can see I've already inserted the 4 pins for this guy, and you need to take note. So you can see you have the in and out. So we want the out to point inwards this way. So it'll make our life a lot easier with the wiring. So now what I'm going to do is just basically put this guy on, solder him, and then later on we're going to solder him down direct to the PCB. So make sure you get everything aligned perfect. However, this is going to prove possibly a bit difficult to some, because it's very small, and yeah. So as you can see, we just skipped this one right here. I'll show you. So this one's not in place, but that's totally fine here. There we go. Now they're all in place. Put on something that's a bit elevated, and then just solder this guy in. So let's just do that now. You want to make sure you make sure these pins don't misalign, because that'll just be a very bad headache later on. Alright, so there we go. Awesome. Okay. Okay, so that's in now. It's pretty sweet. So as you can see, we have them all in now. Let's see, so it's perfect. All right, so these are good. And now we need the buzzer. Where is the buzzer? Actually, we're going to leave the buzzer for last. So right now we're going to get the receiver module, and we're just going to place it somewhere, and then we're going to put double-sided tape. And before we start soldering, just to double check how we're going to do the wiring here, because it's very important. It's going to be a bit difficult here. Well, not for me, but for some. So I'm trying to think of it to make it as easy as possible for everyone, really. So let me get double-sided tape, and I'm just going to go over it, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've gone ahead and put double-sided tape. However, I left the double-sided tape farther a bit away from the pins here, just so in case it doesn't melt and it doesn't create contaminants on the solder. So what I'm going to do now is just stick it into place. So I'm just going to put it roughly right here. It's perfect. Alright, so now the receiver is in place here, and it's holding very well. So let's just take a look at the board here. So what we're going to do is, remember what I said, take note of where the out is. So as you can see, out, we need the out to point inwards. And what I recommend doing is leaving some space up here, about 2 holes, so we can bring the in wires in there. And so it leaves us with a lot of space here, and as well down here the Arduino leave around 2 holes here to make our life a little bit easier once we start soldering. So first step is we are going to actually take power from the voltage regulator and route it to the Arduino here, and then I believe from the Arduino we'll route power to here, or we can just route power directly to here. So I think no, it's better to just do direct here. So first let's actually solder these guys into place. So let's take this board and we're going to flip it upside down. And now as you can see we have our copper points. Make sure they're all the way in. So we're going to start, there we go. Okay, let's just do like a quick zoom here. And let's just start soldering that in and just get it out of the way. Take a look at it here. Looks good. Alright, so let's just flip the board now. Let's get this guy out of the way. So that's only 4. And I have to keep constantly making sure he's all the way in. Alright, so this guy's all the way in. Basically we have a pretty much almost complete board. So I'm going to skip over these real quick and we'll be right back. Alright guys, so I finished here, and you need to make sure none of them are bridged. So that's very important. So as you can see here, none of them are bridged. And we take a look here and we see none of them are bridged. So that's pretty sweet. This is on the inside. That's fine, we don't really care because they're not going anywhere. So yeah, so here's our board. Here's our basically motherboard, if you want to call it. And all right, so let's just start by grabbing ourselves some wires right now. All right, so I just found this wire. I just have a bunch of wires. So these are from receiver, I think, or a camera, and they're kind of silicone, so that's pretty good. So what I'm going to do is just going to cut this header off right here, since we're not going to need it. And we're just going to start running wires, basically. So here's black and red, and what we're going to do is we're going to send power to the Arduino first. So if we remember correctly, we should have set the the out on the bottom here. So we're going to have to take some power from there and send it to the Arduino. So let me prepare everything so we can get that done with. Alright, so basically I stripped 2 wires here and just twisting them. And I actually forgot which one's positive and which one's negative. So this is positive here, this outer one. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this wire and just stick it through and go to this side. That's going to be a bit difficult to see. And just basically bend it on this guy and then just solder him into place. And we should have power. Just make sure no extra, strands are sticking out. And it should be good to go. So let's see. So the wire's in there. It's difficult to see on camera right now, but you need to make sure it's all the way in. And what you can do is you can just hold it into place, and then since there's already solder on the pin, we can just touch it and then add solder later. So it would kind of hold it into place, really. There we go. We just somewhat held it into place. That's perfect. Now let's just grab some solder. And there we go. Now they're bridged, so now we have a positive wire right here. So that's awesome. Sweet. Let's do the ground now. Same thing. So just make sure it's completely twisted. It's pretty long enough to actually touch the other one. So we're gonna stick it through. Make sure no hairs are sticking. Extra hairs sticking to other places. And just basically do this. Come with our soldering iron. Just give it a little bit of dab right there. So, and then we could just come back with the solder and just redo this whole piece. There we go. So as you can see now, they are connected. Both of them are bridged. The wire is going through, it's touching there, and if we take a look on the bottom here, we see them inside. So that's sweet. So now we got power. So I left the wires here a bit long on purpose so we can cut them to exactly how much we need. And by the way, guys, I'm doing this as I go. I just thinking and process the whole thing just raw here. Nothing is planned, nothing is scripted, nothing. So we're gonna need ground. Let's just find the closest ground here. So ground is that one right there. So we have ground here. So we have ground right there, and we have ground down here. So you can even just route it like so. But no, I don't want to do that. That's not good. Alright. So let's just forget ground, and we're going to go straight to V in right here. So what I'm going to do is, and just basically just route it through like so, and then just put it into here, and then we should be good to go. We should have our first power wire inserted, really. Okay, maybe we should, yeah, I think this is, no, because then this will block all of them. See, basically our pins we're going to use, I believe, is A0, A4, and A5, and that's really it, and ground on 5 volts. So this is going to be totally fine if we just do this, like this. So, alright guys, so what I did here, sorry, the camera died, that's why I just like skipped some stuff here. Anyways, what I did is just get the wire and just try to get the perfect length, and then I cut it, and as you can see here, just I needed to kind of have some slack to stay away from other parts if we needed some. So as you can see here, I'll just cut it and give it some slack. So once I insert it, was it like this? Watch. So once we insert it here on V in, so it's on V in now, and then I can just reroute it around here, and it'll be pretty nice and clean. So now we take it to this side, and we're gonna solder it to V in. So I know the wire strands are a bit difficult to see, but this is the most important part to make sure your wires are completely spun perfect, so they don't go anywhere they're not supposed to go. So we're just gonna add a little solder here. We're gonna push him down and add solder to him. Okay, and that should be good. Let's double check. So it's good. We could probably put a little bit more if we wanted to, but that's totally fine. So now we have power. Now we have positive. And we have ground. Where is ground? Ground is right next to it. So what I'm going to do is probably the same thing, really. That's it. We're just going to do the same thing here. We're going to just route him like so, and then just bring him to the ground here. So about here is good, I think. So I'm going to cut it right here. This is why I love silicone wires. You don't need a wire cutter, and you just use your nails. They just pop right off. So we're just going to insert it first and then route it, I think is the best here. So there we go. Okay, it's routed. And make sure it's in all the way. Let me take a look here. And now we're just going to push it as best as we can and make sure it's not touching anything. So it's a bit sketchy, but you know, on camera I could totally see nothing is touching, so that's good. So now I'm gonna get my soldering iron and just make sure the tip is clean. It's very important. I think that should do it. I couldn't see because the camera's in my way. I don't think it's really touching, so we're gonna just hit it again. As you can see it right there. So let's just redo that part. Okay, now it's good. Now we have a bridge, so that's very good. All right, let's just take a look at what's going to be our next step here. So if you find it difficult to get power from this guy directly to this guy, it's totally fine. We could also grab from here and take it to this guy. So we're going to leave him for a little bit later. So right now what we're going to do is actually, let's just see. So we have power to this guy. We'll worry about the battery later. The screen is here on the A's. So maybe we should start doing those wires. Yeah, I think we should do those wires. So we're going to need 4 wires for the screen. We're going to need 5 volt right here. And I believe A4 and A5, if I remember correctly. Yeah, A4 and A5. So for the screen, we're going to need A4, A5, and we're going to need 5 volt, and we're going to need ground. So that's what we're going to do now, actually. So, you know, you can do this many ways. However, I'm going to be using these type JST connectors. You can get a bunch of them for very cheap. You can also direct solder them, totally fine also. But I just want the, you know, just to be accessible. I just want to be able to pop off the top and just remove those pins, and then I'll just be good to go. So let me prepare those wires and I'll be right back. Alright, so I got 4 wires. I couldn't find good color codes, but as long as they all look different than each other. So I'm going to make them all the same length now. Here. Alright, there we go. So now we have 4 wires. I'm going to use the red for positive, the brown for ground, and wait, there we go. Okay, and this one for A and A4 and A5 here. So let's just actually start by, are these silicone? No, but they work like silicone. So that's good. I mean, they're not the best quality, but you know, it's not a demanding setup really. So these wires will need a cutter. So make sure they're twisted. Okay. And we're just going to do the same thing to these guys. However, these guys will just be basically just hanging there, waiting for us to connect them. And it should be pretty simple on the screen. I'll show you how what goes where. It's only 4 wires that go to the screen, so it shouldn't be that difficult and shouldn't be that complicated. So, and another thing to note, actually, I forgot to mention this. Make sure they're female. So that's very important, actually. So make sure they're female. And we're gonna give it power from the 5 volt here. So let's just start with this guy then. Let's zoom in here for you guys. So here's 5 volt. And I'm just gonna insert him. You know, I do recommend also if you're afraid of the you know, strands of hair floating around, just put solder on the wire before putting it through. It could make your life a lot easier and a lot better. So, right. So, thing is, I'm just trying to get it perfect for you guys so you guys could see everything. Alright, that seems good. So as you can see, it's a bit difficult to see, but it's right there and it's leaning on that guy. So I don't see him touching anything, but just in case, there we go. Don't forget, you could always twist the wire around to get it just perfect from the bottom. There we go, that's perfect for me. So as you can see, it's right there. And I just move the wire here, and it should be good. So I'm going to use the cutter to hold it in place. There we go, perfect. Let's get our solder. I'm just going to add a little dab first. I'm actually going to do this. It's going to be difficult to do looking at the camera. Seems good. Yep, seems good. Let's double check it. So yeah, there it is. It's right there, that one. So it's good. It's very, very good. All right, so this is in. Now we're going to need ground. And where is the ground cable? It's right here. So you could take ground from anywhere, so you don't have to do what I do, but I'm just gonna put the ground with this ground here, since it's so close. So I'm just gonna put this guy through, and then just align him. As you can see there, I just aligned him, and just make sure he stays in place, because that's very important here. What I'm going to do is actually I'm going to add a little solder to this guy, because this guy is going to prove to be difficult, and it's a bit shittier quality than the previous wires that I've used right now, so I just don't want to risk it. So let's just get this here up like that, and there we go, just a little bit, not much, so that'll keep it pretty stable and keep it all together, so we don't have to worry about anything. So we're going to go find ground again, because I forgot which one's ground. And it's this one right there. So there we go. All right, and it's leaning on it, so that's perfect. I'm running out of solder here. I have to go look for more. That was shitty. Alright. There we go. It's good. So now we have ground and power for the screen here. So that's pretty sweet. And looking at my minutes now, I think this video is going to be pretty damn long. That's fine. So we're going to do, I'm just going to do A4 and A5, same thing. And then I'll come back and we're going to start doing this guy, I believe. And then we'll take it from there. Alright guys, so now what we need to do is basically I just got A4 and A5 done for the screen, so these are going to be for the screen here. Now what we need to do is we need to get power for this guy here, and then we only need one wire, which is the RSSI, and we're going to route the RSSI to A0 right there. So let's just start with the power here. Let's get the wires. Let's get a little tiny wire here, and we're going to see how we're going to do this. It's going to be a bit tricky because they're very, very tiny, tiny, tiny tabs. So if we go here, I just double check my stuff. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. It would be 5 volt ground RSSI. 5 volt ground RSSI. So if we count 4 in, it's going to be 5 volt, then ground, then RSSI. So let's just get that started with. So it's pretty cool. They're next to each other. And I think we could also use another ground port on this guy. So let's just see. So the 4th pin in, which is, it's going to be a bit difficult, so you gotta be careful, and don't use the same soldering tip I'm using. I recommend using a finer tip solder. So we're going to need this one. That's 5 volt right there. So we're going to add a little solder to this guy, and then this would be ground, and this one was RSSI. So as you can see here, we just add a little bit of solder. Now we're going to get our ground wire. We're going to put some solder on it and then cut it, trim it pretty short. And I do recommend, highly recommend, use some kind of silicone wire to prevent it from really just getting ripped off, because that will happen, and that does happen to me a lot actually. So I just put solder on the ground pin here, or ground wire, and I'm just making it as small as possible. So let's just get it to focus here. All right. So it's going to be proof. So we got 5 volt and then ground. So we're going to put this guy in here. But I should have probably let's start with positive here, because it'll be a little bit easier on us. Because then we could just move up and not worry about hitting it once we do the other one. So I'm preparing the positive wire right now actually. Okay. Alright, so it's ready here, and I'm just gonna make it smaller. So I've shortened it out. Just see if I could show you guys. It's just not wanting to focus at all. There we go. Alright, so I made this guy super as small as I can, and so this is going to be 5 volt here, so be careful not knocking on other components, and just lean him on top, just come in from the top here. And that's just perfect, but I would really like him to be a bit lower. Right there. Perfect. So that's holding very well. That's good. Let's get the ground now. And here's ground. Alright guys, so now we're going to do ground. The camera died as I was doing it. So let's just get the ground wire here. And we're just going to touch him like so. You need to be very careful here. And that's perfect right there. And then we're going to need RSSI. So RSSI, I should possibly make it a different color. And let's just see if I have a, yeah, this seems like it's, yeah, we're going to make this yellow wire RSSI. So it's going to be pretty good. Alright. So there we go. I'm just going to put a little bit of solder on this guy. And just move him a little bit here. This project is not going to need much solder actually. I've just been working with this little strand. Look what's left of it. So let's just cut this guy off here. I really do hope you guys like these videos. And these mod videos. I have a couple mods on the way soon, but you know, it's just very difficult to manage my time. Well, it's not very difficult, I just don't have time because I have work and I don't do this full time. I just do this for fun. I really do wish I could take it full time. That'd be pretty sweet. I could do so much crazy stuff. Alright, so this is going to be a bit tricky because this IC is super close. So I'm going to go in straight ahead top. I know I'm going to get a lot of shit because I'm not using the correct head. Solder tip head, but you know, everything works out with me, so that's good. Alright, so now we have these guys done, so let's just see where we're going to route them here. Alright, so first things first, let's just take the RSSI, which is this pin as I believe. Let me just double check this just in case, just to be sure here. So this one was RSSI. Yes, this is RSSI. So this is RSSI. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna route it through here and then go to A0 right there. So it's gonna be the same concept as everything else really. So I'm just gonna, right there should be fine right here. That's awesome. All right, and there we go. Make sure this guy is twisted, and I'm actually gonna add a little bit of solder on him just to make my life easier. Okay, and when you're gonna go to solder to the pins, make sure the tip is clean because it'll be an absolute headache and nightmare if you know it doesn't go as planned. So right now I think we made it possibly a bit too short, but we'll know for sure. Okay, so that's A0. Yes. Hopefully we can just route it. Yeah, we should be fine. Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. Look at that, it's beautiful. Alright, so we can see it, there he is right there. And just always double check and make sure that, you know, you're going straight down. So there he is, he's right there. And I just bent him down a bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my solder station here. I'm just going to touch him, tap him a bit here just to hold him in place. And that should be held in place now. So let's just add solder here. Where is this guy? It's very difficult to see even for me. I don't know how it is on the camera. So he's right there. Come here, little buddy. You're the main guy. This is the star of the show here. Alright, and there we have RSSI. Now we just need power to this guy. And we're going to need the antennas. the antenna, and yeah, I think that should be it really. So yeah, that's it. So let's just do that and get it over with. Alright, so I'm probably going to take power from here. It'll just be easier and possibly cleaner. So we're just going to go here and we're just going to cut that and just touch it with that guy, because they're all just getting from the same power source really. So right here should be fine. Alright. Alright, I'm going to skip over this because, you know, it's just the same thing really. So I'm just going to get power from these two here. Here's the ground, here's the positive. And I'm just going to route them there. Any hole doesn't matter as long as they touch the pins here, so you'll be totally fine. You can do whatever you want. You can even go down here if you wanted to. They're all the same. But I don't think I recommend you take from this 5-volt the power, because this one has a voltage regulator, I believe, on board, and I don't think it'll be able to handle the current, so I don't recommend that. So let me just get this done, and we'll see what's the next step. Alright guys, so I kind of forgot something super important here. And it's actually that to set this on 5-volt, because actually I didn't do that in the beginning. So what I'm going to do now is actually get another one and then figure out which way actually just makes it the lowest possible. And then we're going to set this to the lowest possible and then just stick a multimeter on there and slowly bring it up to 5 volts and we should be fine. So let's just figure out how we're going to give this guy power. There's many ways we can give them power. Possibly an Xt60 connector, but an Xt60 connector is going to be pretty fat. So we're going to need some kind of fat wires. Oh, it's totally fine, but not super fat. So let me grab a couple of Xt6 connectors, a little bit thicker gauge wire here. And so we can just, once we get it power, we can just get the voltage regulator going. Alright guys, so I just quickly made myself an Xt60 connector here, and just take note of the polarity, so just be careful where it says minus, and you got the minus here, where it's concave, usually it's the minus, where it's flat, it's usually the positive, so just take note of that. And here I have them a bit big, I left them just so, because I'll show you what we're going to do with the project box in a bit. So I'm going to just make them exactly the same length here. This should be pretty easy and simple, we don't have to go through holes with these guys. So just twist them. Now we're gonna add a little bit of tape, not tape, solder. All right, let's just add a little bit of solder to these guys right here. Actually, what I like to do is I leave this up here and then just dab it like so. There we go. Same thing. Perfect. So we're gonna have to give power here. Make sure you take note of the polarity. So this is gonna be negative. So this is negative here now. Yeah, just double checking. Yeah, this is negative. So it's gonna be difficult to put, depending on your wires really. For me, it's like, it's not really practical, but I'm just gonna solder it in like so, and it'll be totally fine. So let's just start actually with positive since it'll be easier for us here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little dab here. Zoom in for you. Alright. Just to get it to hold really for right now. It's actually good like this if you wanted to keep it, but I'm just going to add a little bit more solder to this. Alright, so now this guy. Alright. You know what? I'm gonna actually make the camera a bit better for you guys here. Okay. I'm gonna add also some more solder here. Just like so. Perfect. So let's just take a look at our creation here. Take one look at it from far away. See this bad boy right here. Just move everything. So it's pretty sweet, except the part where we have to still do this part, which is set the voltage regulator. And I'll get a spare one right now, and we'll do it together. So we'll just have it off, and then just easy, nice and easy, just move up on it. So what we're gonna be left with is actually the antennas here, and I'm actually gonna completely remove this guy, and we're gonna do this together. So I'll show you guys how I do it. And there's a person on YouTube who has a very nice technique, and his name is Project Blue Falcon JC. So he has some pretty awesome things when he was doing those antennas and all that kind of crazy stuff. And I do miss the guy, to be honest. Still watch his videos every now and then. So there's the first part removed here, and then what I'm going to do is we're gonna just start removing some of this, because this is ground. The shielding here is ground. So we're gonna just remove some of these, and you can have it be like looking like an angel. You could take these to two sides. Maybe we should have taken a little bit more here. So let's just take a little bit more than that. Okay. It'll give us some room for error, because there's usually error on this part because it's a bit tricky depending on how thin your wire is. So okay, so what I like to do is just to wrap that around like so and make sure it's not going to touch anything. And here, this part is a bit tricky. You could use a blade knife, but what I do is I just go here until I feel a little hold, and then I just start pulling away, and usually it works. Yeah, it worked this time. That's perfect. So just be super delicate with this, because this is you can go through the whole wire just trying to get that stupid part right there sometimes. So yeah, it's a bit annoying. Alright, so we're gonna take a look here now. The middle one is obviously the middle one, this one here. Well, I mean, there's only two. And the outer ones are gonna be the ground, which is gonna be this guy here. So what I'm going to do first, actually let's put solder on this guy. Let me just double check, yes, that's correct. Okay, yeah, alright. So we're gonna put solder on these two guys right here right now. That's the first step. Gonna be a bit weird. I can't see if the solder is on there or not. Anyways, alright. So now let's grab this guy, and we're gonna solder this guy in first. I think it's best. So let's solder him in right there. Perfect. And now the big boy. So it's gonna bend over like so, I guess. That's how it's gonna end up being. And I'm just gonna hold it in place right there. You don't want to keep playing too much with it, because that'll break off. That little piece right there will end up breaking off sooner or later. So actually, you know what? Let's trim some of this off, because I really don't like these extra strands here. So I'm gonna just trim some of these guys off here. There we go. And that should give us a pretty clean one if we didn't cut too much. And I think we've cut a bit too much here, but it'll be fine. So to hold it in place is going to be a bit tricky depending on how you did it. For me, it proved a bit difficult. And on my previous version, the one that I had to test, I've had to resolder this like 4 times because it broke off because of all the movement. So make sure you're going to secure this with some maybe hot glue, but just make sure you did it 100% correct before you do that. Alright, so that's soldered in place here. But what I want to do is I want to add more solder to this part here. Make it stronger. Make sure it's holding. Yeah, so now it's basically like it's just not moving at all, like, well, barely moving, but that just made it a lot stronger. So that's very good here. And let's just see what's left now. So we have a pretty sexy looking beast. We're not going to add the buzzer now. We'll probably do that in a later video with the next update. But this should overall be pretty nice. It's pretty clean. Let's just see here. So yeah, the project box on the bottom one, what I did is I just cut one fat hole because I didn't know what I was going to stick through. And I cut two long ones. If I wanted to put a battery here, I don't have to worry about it. You can even put it like a watch. I mean, if your hand fits. But yeah, it's pretty funny. Maybe I should have made this bigger. No. Let's just take a look at it. I'm just very curious how it's going to be. Okay, that's good. Pull these wires through. Okay, this is going to be for the screen here. Alright, let's just take a farther look here. Okay. So it's pretty nice. So we're going to cut a hole or some kind of mount thingy, or just a hole really, to hold this guy into place. I might use M2 screws. I don't think M3 ones fit here. We could even use zip ties or hot glue or whatever you want. Or if you have some of those ones that lock on the outside, that'll be even better. This came with a Transdeck frame and it was just next to me when I started, so I just left it on. So yeah, so we're just gonna cut a hole basically right here to put this guy through. And yeah, well, I think that's gonna be it. What else is left? Alright, so let's just do the voltage regulator now, because this is the scary part really. Okay, let's take this guy out. Perfect. I'm very satisfied with this, to be honest. I didn't know it was going to come out looking pretty decent, because I'm going to do it on the fly. I really didn't have time to think it through. So I just wanted to quickly do it for you guys, because I got a lot of emails. And I've already sent a couple people the old source code because they really wanted it. Alright, so there is our board, and now let's grab ourselves a battery. But before that, let's actually... Alright, just give me a moment and I'll be right back, guys. Alright guys, so he's pretty much ready. I've set this up to 5 volts. What I did is it turns out when you go clockwise, it'll be like basically zeroed out half a volt. And then I just slowly, with the multimeter, I touched the inside here and here just to touch them. And I just slowly went up, like as slow as possible. I got to 5.10, which is perfect. Everything is booting. However, what I did here is I've just made 2 holes with X-Acto knife. Not X-Acto knife, a box cutter, but I can't find my X-Acto knife. And I just put 2 M2 screws here and an M2 nylon standoff. And I'm just holding it into place. And it's just absolutely, it's perfect for me. So everything is good, the thing threads in all the way. However, what we need to do now is we need to redo a top one. Good thing I got like 10 of these guys, because I remember I programmed it like this to get more resolution. So, and I placed it like this. And another thing my genius brain did not see was that when you put the wires in here, that won't close because that's in the way. So what we're going to do is actually we're going to make new holes, and then we're going to just mount it basically like, let's see, where is it? It's gonna be like right here. We'll just do it flat in the middle. I think it'll be good. Or just a little bit higher. Yeah, about here, because I have more plans for this. Later on, we're gonna put a port outside, some kind of AV port, so you can even plug in a DVR. So it's gonna be pretty sweet. And then we're gonna even put LEDs on this guy, the color LEDs, and just have a LED bar. So this is gonna be like an evolving project. If you guys are interested in it, we'll keep going. I'll keep going on through with this. It'll be pretty sweet. So right now, let's just make a hole for this guy right here. So we're gonna we're just gonna eyeball it really. So I'm just gonna make a hole right there. So what I'm gonna do, just this guy will do. Earlier I used my Dremel, but it was a terrible idea because I found out that you could just basically just do it with this guy and it'll be just as good. So I'm just gonna skip over this because it's just gonna be time consuming for you guys, and we'll be back once I make the hole really awesome. Alright, so I got my hole cut, so it's pretty sweet. And now we're just going to make marks for these two. I'm just going to just put two like this. You know, that'll be perfect just when I put these M2 with the nylons here. So I'm just going to put them on the corners. I don't have too many M2 screws and nylon nuts, so I need to get more. So just in case if I need any for my micros, I don't want to kind of just basically just run out. And yeah, I really want to find my micros. So this time I'm going to make sure it's leveled nice and good. Okay. Shit, that's not strong enough. Oh, here we go. But can this go through? Nope. Awesome. Alright, so what I did is just use a pen and just pushed it through. Well, not pushed it, just like marked it. So the first one was wrong, and it's this one right there. So look, it's just super simple. I just put this guy and just start spinning him on the dot. It's a very thin top plate or cover, so it'll just go right through. You don't want it too big, so the nylon, the M2 nylon nut will just hold in place also. So you can see I already made basically a hole. And from here I could kind of see its mark. And I just come from this side and then I just hit it again. Nice and easy. With the X-Acto knife, this will be a lot easier. And then now, final. There we go. Now we just clean it up from this side. There we go. So that's pretty sweet. Alright, now the other one was, where is it? It's that little dot right there. So same concept. And this is a dull box cutter, so with a fresh one it'll be a lot smoother and cleaner. So as you can see, we got the hole. Now I just go to this side and just clean it up a little bit, not too much. There we go. So let's check it all out now. Hopefully everything's good. Alright, I'm just gonna put this guy through. Don't want to tighten them down too much just yet, so I can get a perfect, not perfect, but a good point. What's pushing up here? Oh, nothing. It's just like that. That's why. Okay. I should loosen this guy a little bit here, just so we could have it level out, because it wasn't leveled. And it's pretty sweet. So yeah, there we go. Let's plug it all in together. And as you can see, I've already it's pretty awesome with the battery strap here. We have our antenna, and we're just gonna put these guys in. So SDA is A4. So SDA would be A4 on this guy. SCL is A5. Yep. And then VCC and ground is just positive and negative. So the way we actually, I forgot to mention this in the beginning, the way we did this whole wiring will not let the receiver and the I think the screen as well turn on just through plugging it USB. This way it's better when programming. You don't risk burning out your Arduino, really. So here we go. And moment of truth. Okay, so I see the problem here. The problem here is we need to trim some of these guys. So let's just do that now. I'll be right back. And perfect. So let's just do a quick test here. I haven't flashed the new software yet, but it has software on it right now. So power on. Oh, that is sweet. Look at that. That's just awesome. Wow. I'm so happy. I didn't even check if anything's gonna burn. Anyways, let's power on an Eachine TX. Oh. It's exactly right there. It's okay. This is the old code. Let's just see. Yeah, so that's actually doing pretty good. So yeah, hold on guys, I'll be right back. I'm just super excited, so I'm not gonna be able to speak. I'm just gonna just blib blob, and you guys just really hate that. So I'll be right back once I calm down. Alright guys, so it is complete and it's working. I've modified the code a little bit more. It's working a little bit better. I was able to find the VTX through the house. It was pretty sweet. It was just leading me door to door until I was able to find it. So obviously we power it on. No signal, perfect. So the VTX is like exactly right there. Alright, so I'm gonna power on the VTX now. Alright, it's powered on. It's moved a bit. Alright, so as you can see here, now I'm gonna point right at it. Perfect. That's perfect signal. That's what we want to see. So I don't know how sensitive this is in the field, but in the house it worked pretty well. However, it's just not a very big house, so I will know once I go to the field tomorrow after tomorrow. But overall, it's working beautiful. Watch this. Boom. Perfect. Cover it. Perfect. Cover it. Perfect. So as we all know, 5.8 gigahertz doesn't do well against liquids. So my hand's full of liquid inside, obviously blood. So yeah, so it's working beautiful. I'm very happy for this. So the next step is going to be, we're going to be adding buzzers, LEDs, and a external port for, or just a mod for DVR. So this could be also a DVR player. So it'll be pretty sweet. You can power it up with anything from 2S up to whatever you want. I mean, not whatever you want, but like 5S, 6S maybe maximum. And it should work beautiful, and it's awesome. I really do like it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you guys have any questions or any suggestions, feel free to let me know. And if you guys have any ideas, please share your ideas down below. And if anyone just makes the code a bit more better for everyone, that would be also awesome. So I'll set up a link to the code. I'll put a link down in the description for everything I have here. And yeah, well, that's all for today, guys. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. See you guys. Take care.